Hi, this is Hank reporting from Kyiv, and this is my update on Russian-Ukrainian war. Let's see what happened around Ukraine in the last 24 hours. Russian fleet leaves Crimea. Revenge for Trump's ear. Another big threat. 30 criminals revealed. Refugees and convicts. Our $2 million fundraiser. The Speaker of Ukrainian Navy, Lieutenant Commander Dmytro Pletenchuk, today at 11 a.m. reported on his Facebook page that the last patrol ship of the Russian Federation was leaving the territory of occupied Crimea and added, "Remember this day." This is super good news for us. Of course, Russians will not pretend that they shamefully lost most of the Black Sea Fleet, but isn't this what we saw when they were expelled from Kyiv, when we liberated Kherson, the only regional center that they managed to occupy? When we liberated most of the Kharkiv region in 2022. Today, ladies and gentlemen, you see how Russians have gradually begun to flee Crimea. Of course, they won't tell you about it on the news. We will tell you. The situation with the assassination attempt on presidential candidate Donald Trump is certainly a bad thing. Regardless of how you feel about the person, shooting in a public place, injuring and killing a random bystander is a terrible crime. About as terrible as Russian understanding of cause and hereditary relationships. In this photo, you see how Russians wrote an arrow bomb. Ukrainians, you will answer for Trump's ear. If anyone can explain how they decided that an attack on the government representative and possible president of our main partner could be beneficial to Ukraine, if we understand that the chaos that would have happened and Ukraine would definitely have faded into the background if Trump had died, then please explain their logic to me. Sometimes it seems to me that Russians simply throw the most absurd things into the public space so that people stop distinguishing between where they are telling the truth and when they are telling the fantasies. Just some white noise. Perhaps this is a clever disinformation tactic. Talk about bloodthirsty Ukrainians eating children, Ukrainians shooting at their own houses, Ukrainians trying to kill their partners, politicians, and hey, Putin really believed that he would capture 40 million people in 3 days, and all these terrible things are done by Russians themselves in reality. They have an expression, you can't understand Russia with your mind, and it seems to be true at some extent. I don't want to underestimate the enemy, but sometimes it just seems to me that they are crazy in the majority. In any case, they are now firing shells and bombs at us in defense of Trump. What a time to be alive. The inimitable Maria Zakharova, one of the voices of Putin's madness, stated in the news that Kyiv is preparing to destroy the dams of the Kyiv hydroelectric power station and the Kyiv reservoir. This will become another cynical provocation against the Russian Federation. This news is a continuation of the previous one. I really wonder if there is someone who really believes in this, an unpaid bot who gets the rubble for writing a comment, "Here Ukraine is shooting itself in the foot again," but a real clinically sane person. The whole world sees how we are trying to protect ourselves from Russian missiles. It's a fact. Russians themselves confirm that they are firing missiles at us. This is also a fact. And what is the point of for us in any possible case to destroy our own power plant when we have a shortage of electricity and the largest nuclear power plant is occupied and mined by terrorists? My favorite question is, why would we do this? You know, I feel like we are in the shoes of our UN ambassador Sergei Kislitsa, a wonderful diplomat, by the way. He spoke about the statements of Russians at the UN, something like this. And now we hear these statements by Vasily Nebenza about combat NATO mosquitoes, and because of the order of things, we are representatives of civilized countries are obliged by protocol to sit and listen to this nonsense. Just imagine what it's like to be obliged to listen to everything and react because that's the order. In parallel with this, the UN General Assembly demanded that the Russian Federation immediately withdraw troops from the territory of the Zaporizhzhia nuclear power plant. The resolution was supported by 99 countries, 60 abstained, and 9 countries voted against: Belarus, Burundi, Cuba, North Korea, Eritrea, Mali, Russian Federation, Nicaragua, and Syria. Document demands the withdrawal of not only Russian troops from the Zaporizhzhia NPP, but also an unauthorized personnel and the transfer of the station under the full control of Ukraine in connection with Russia's failure to comply with the resolutions of International Atomic Energy Association rules. Our respected partners, similarly constrained by protocols and rules, are still trying to speak language of diplomacy while Putin speaks the language of brute force. It seems to me that they have invented a perpetual motion machine. A week ago, on July 8, the Russian army launched a massive attack on Kyiv, 38 missiles at a time, and hit 2 hospitals. At that time, about 600 children were being treated in Ahmadiyat hospital, and the rocket hit the toxicology department, where poor children with cancer were undergoing dialysis. You've probably seen a photo of a group of kids with IVs on the street. This is one of the most inhuman terrorist attacks in 30 months of war. After this crime, one of the Russian pilots of the 22nd Heavy Bomber Aviation Division, which is located in the city of Engels, contacted Ukrainian intelligence and transferred data on 30 people from the command of his division. All the names of those who directly carried out the criminal order to bomb the center of Kyiv and 2 hospitals. Intelligence reports that the pilot was shocked by what happened and passed on classified information to our side, which will directly affect future similar operations. In this photo, you see criminals who are awaiting trial. The Ukrainian Pravda article contains a complete list of names. Let me remind you that in an international court, war crimes have no statute of limitations, so these people will be punished sooner or later. A rhetorical question from me: is it good to hand over your people when your people turn out to be criminals? The head of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs of Poland, Radzislav Sikorski, said that on territory of Poland they began to form a brigade of Ukrainian men who went to Poland with the beginning of Russian invasion to serve in the armed forces of Ukraine. The key point is that after the service they will be able to return to Poland. Perhaps this is important for some. I heard a figure of 2,000 people, perhaps there will be more. Poland will help us with training of brigades and in its territory as they have done it before. And now in Ukraine there is a transformation of the mobilization process and our military receives fresh reserves. They say that after we recruited more people and opened an effective recruiting process, the main difficulty is now heavy weapons, and this depends largely on our partners because they help us with either ready-made equipment or invest in the production of new ones. Let's see how things go further. We are now faced with a positional war and it can go on attrition for quite a long time, as world history says. There are several wildcards. These are F-16 aircrafts and all kinds of black swans in Russia. And after the report that the Black Sea Fleet is already slowly surrendering, who knows what else could happen this year. I missed a few days with these videos and so much happened in just a couple of days. In parallel with this, in the 21st Brigade of Ukrainian Armed Forces named after King Daniel, a separate battalion, Характерники, appeared, which consists of people released from prison. Характерник means a Ukrainian Cossack who has magical abilities. In historical records, they have a rather negative image, but are positive and valiant in folk legends. This is very symbolic because people who went through prison, which is still a kind of stigma, took the oath of allegiance to their homeland and stood up for its defense. They say that among them there are quite a lot of people with combat experience. I know stories of military men who went to prison for violating discipline. For example, a soldier didn't return from vacation in time because his car broke down and ended up in prison as a deserter. All people are different. I think each one should be considered individually. And of course it plays a role that our prisoners do not join the army to seize a foreign territory as Russia does, but on the contrary, released to atone for their crimes and protect their home. I respect such people. Finally, I can show these photos. What you see here are 15 British FV-432 armored personal carriers and 2 repair vehicles. The unique thing is that I took part in this crowdfunding of the Tilovaki team and we were able to collect more than $2 million, as they say, from France in 2.5 months, and now the equipment has arrived in Ukraine. will undergo minor repairs and go to Azov Brigade, which until recently it was not possible to receive Western equipment due to the unspoken US veto, which was influenced by Russian propaganda mostly. A month ago, I explained in a video that Azov officially passed all the checks and the United States didn't find any violations. So this is a big deal, a dozen of armored personnel carriers that will strengthen Azov's positions in the Serebrenskis forest. Here I photographed the Tiloviki team and a group of influencers and bloggers who took the active part in this fundraiser. As you can see, everyone looks like ordinary young people who simply love their country and work to help it survive. I'm then happy to be a part of this community, and it seems to me that these are representatives of those conditional 20% of active people who move our society forward. With an orange marker I wrote on one of them, "Take me to Mariupol." It would be cool to ride home and enter the city on top of this armor. Who knows, maybe that's exactly what will happen. Someday I'll go there to film a documentary and the second part of my photo project, Life, Death and Resurrection, when we drive the Russians out of our land. I started writing the text for this video at a gas station in the morning, continued at home and finished in a cafe, and now I'm filming it at 30 minutes past 10 p.m. at home. The cruise through electrical outlets continues. Abnormal heat also continues in Kyiv. We continue to hold on and balance the stress. It's so strange to get used to all this, but life is not interested in what we want. Let's see what this week will bring. As always, I hope for the best and prepare for the worst. I would like to believe that Russians will not blow up another dam. Such a philosophical ending. This was my update on Russian-Ukrainian war for day 873. Thanks for watching, take care, and I hope to see you tomorrow.